this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
This is 22 years in the military.
Yes, 22 years. All my life, I've been active with the church. So the people of Iraq, they invited us into their house to sleep there because they saw we were literally sleeping in our grave. We would the biggest fear for me in becoming a Muslim was my own fear.
Go there, my head's going to get chopped out, this and that. You were welcome. And like you made a great example. Imagine if the Mexican army came here.
In Iraq. And I read that Quran cover to cover. And I thought, wow, this is the most beautiful thing I have ever read in my life. Maybe about 5 feet from where you're sitting. And it was the only one that didn't explode.
So what would you tell something like this to Jordan Peterson?
Deep down inside, I never believed that Isa was God.
Okay,
I didn't.
Let's stop there because
This is the Deen Show.
Assalamu alaikum, greetings and peace. Welcome to the Deen Show. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell and get ready for another exciting episode. 22 years in the military. Went from being a Marine, Air Force, Army, and was on his way to become a Christian deacon. He's here on the Deen Show. Mark, how are you, brother?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now, what did we just say?
Oh, mashallah. It's
No, what did we just say?
greetings of peace. It's may the peace and blessings of God Almighty be with you.
Isn't that amazing?
I tell you, it touches my heart because coming from the Catholic faith, the Catholic Christian tradition, that's exactly what they tell you is when you greet somebody, you greet them with the peace, the love and peace of God. It's not just something that when you go to church, you just say to church. No, it's something that you take out of church. Every time you greet somebody, you greet them with the love of your heart.
And that's what we have. We have that as a living example. We say that every day. Peace be with you. I always get excited when I greet my new guests.
I tell you, it is. It's such a beautiful greeting, especially when you think about it. May the peace, the mercy, the blessings of God be with you.
Yeah.
It carries so much to it.
We can talk about
amazing.
just this greeting for hours, but I get excited with people who have accepted Islam and now they're uttering this beautiful statement that Jesus also uttered and all the other prophets, which is continuing that legacy. But you were actually, so this is 22 years in the military.
Yes, 22 years. 22 years.
There's some pictures people are seeing now. You were from the Marines?
Yes, from the Marines. Spent 8 years in the Marines. During that time, I ended up doing 2 tours in Iraq back in 2003, 2004, and 2005. In my unit, I was with the Bridge Company, Engineer Bravo, out of Philadelphia, U.S. Marine Corps, and we were one of the very first people to cross the Iraqi border, going into Iraq, making our way all the way from Basra, Nasiriyah, all the way to Al-Qut, to Baghdad. We made our way up to Ramadi, Tikrit.
These are towns there?
These are towns. These are cities. We actually went into the birthplace, the home of Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. And
into his palaces and everything. So yeah, we were one of the very first to cross the line.
Is that when it was really just hot?
It wasn't bad to the point where we had so many the suicide bombers and the roadside bombs. The initial fight was the organized military, and it really struck me profoundly because all the people that we came across. The kids, they were coming out to the streets. The people, they were greeting us. We had little children holding up pictures, signs of like American flag, yeah, go America, all happy and excited. And subhanAllah, we got to play even soccer games with them. Granted, they completely kicked our butts. Yeah. those Iraqis, they know how to play a good soccer game.
So you were getting a good greeting? Was that in the beginning? Or?
Oh, yeah, that was in the very beginning. And the people were so amazing. It's because the group we were with, we were moving so fast through Iraq. We didn't have enough water. We didn't have enough food. So the people of Iraq, they invited us into their house to sleep there because they saw we were literally sleeping in our grave. We would dig a hole in the ground just like a grave, and that's where we would sleep. And so they saw this, and they invited us literally to sleep in their homes. They saw we didn't have food. They gave us food from their dish. They gave us the water to drink. Just the hospitality. It's unfathomable. I think think about it in terms of like, what would happen if another country like Mexico or Canada or somebody, if they invited the USA, like, would we greet the Mexican army invading Texas and saying, oh, please come and stay in our house here, have food from us? No, it's so that kind of hospitality, it blew my mind away.
Now, how did that change? All that changed, didn't it?
Every time I've been there, I have found nothing but the most kind, generous, heartwarming people.
Yeah.
And they say it's the few, it's the 1% who ruin everything for the majority.
Yeah.
And that's that's the real shame is, people don't understand, the people of Rec, the love, the kindness that
Yeah.
they have. It's something special. Like, you don't see this anywhere else. And so, it's something that actually got me to think. And when I was in Iraq, I was like, I have to learn more about these people. This is something special. So I thought to myself, what better way to learn about a people than to learn about them through the religion?
Yeah.
Because you learn the religion and it will explain the culture. It will explain the laws. It will explain everything about them. So when I was there, I actually went and bought a Quran when I was there in Iraq. And I read that Quran cover to cover. And I thought, wow, this is the most beautiful thing I have ever read in my life. Just completely blown away about it. And so much so, I even bought some prayer rugs because I thought they were just so beautiful just to have them as decorations. Little would I know, I would never even think about 20 years later, I would be using that same Quran to read from. I would be using that same prayer rug to be able to pray on every single day. Subhanallah, the qadr of Allah, it's beyond comprehension. It's beyond comprehension.
Now, let's back it up. What had you come to a point that you were like, okay, I want to go to Iraq?
So, so going to Iraq, it's a really funny story, right? So, and just like a little bit more. So when I was a little child, growing up, I was like about 4th, 5th grade, and in geography class, and we were studying the world and world religion, and they showed a picture. They're talking about the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, and then they showed a picture of Mecca and the Kaaba, and I was like, oh my God, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. SubhanAllah, it's just beautiful. And I just raised my hand like a little kid, like, I want to go there. I want to see it. It's so beautiful. And I never forget, the teacher was there. It was a beautiful sunny day. I was sitting right on the side, right by the window. I'll never forget it to this day. I look, and she goes, I'm sorry, Mark, but only Muslims can go there. And my heart broke. I started crying there in class. And so a few years later, they had, back in 91, they had the first Gulf War. And all my life, I'd been very active in the Boy Scouts, community service. I was like, you know what? Seeing these American soldiers, fighting for freedom, defending the people of Kuwait. I was like, wow, I want to be like these people who defend America, who serve, serve the people, protect the people, do good, go out, community service. So one day in high school, I get this phone call, and I hear this man on the phone. Hi, I'm Sergeant Bobrowski from the U.S. Marine Corps. Curious if you'd be interested to come down and talk to us if you might be interested in the Marines. I thought to myself, I'm like, well, I have no idea who these Marines are. I'm like, I just know there's a military. I didn't know there's Air Force, there's Army, there's Navy. I didn't know any of that. It's just, okay, it's military. Mm-hmm. So it's like, sure. So I didn't want to tell him, like, feel bad and say, no, I'm really not interested. I was like, you know what? Okay. I'll go there, I'll listen to the guy, he'll give me the spiel, and I'll be like, oh, thank you so much, but I'm really not interested. Yeah, little did I know. They'd be coming back to my house, and my parents would be signing a waiver for me at 17 years old to go and join the Marines. And they're like, Mark, what are you doing? This is the Marines. Of all people, of all groups, you're going the Marines. They're going to kill you. And he's like, no, nothing to worry about. They never go overseas. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah. No events. And sure enough, of course, 9/11 happens. Mm-hmm. And the whole world changes.
Yeah.
So it was really having...
So you did 3 deployments.
Yeah, so 3 deployments, 2 with the Marines. And then after I served 8 years with the Marines, I decided, you know what? It was time for a change because it was a difficult life. It was tough. It was hard on the body. It was, for me, constantly being shot at, having to see, many of my good friends get killed and die right in front of me.
In Iraq?
In Iraq. It was hard. It was hard.
Yeah, it gets sad because you'll hear a lot of people, talking about that part of the world, but it's like they've been blown back into the Stone Age.
Oh, it is. It is.
So
And
it's unfair. But and also a lot of misconceptions, like thinking that, okay, if I go there, my head's going to get chopped out, this and that. You were welcome. And like you made a great example. Imagine if the Mexican army came here, would you welcome them in your homes?
Like when we had peacetime, we were, downtime, when we were, had time with them, we were going out with the kids. We were playing soccer games with them. We were literally building schools. We were going and building brand new, modern technology schools for them.
Tell me, so at what point did you start going down that road of going to Christian seminary, trying to become a deacon?
So
was this during the military?
So I'll tell you, So what happened is there was a very pivotal moment in my very first deployment in Iraq, and we were being shot at every single day. We were having bombs go off next to us every single day. I had a bomb land maybe about 5 feet from where you're sitting, and it was the only one that didn't explode.
Wow.
And had it gone off, I would just come home in pieces. Would have been in pieces. Mm-hmm. And in Iraq, I was convinced there was no possible way I was coming home alive.
So you saw it. You saw it there, and it just didn't explode. What if it would have exploded? You wouldn't be here on the Dean Show.
I would be in 1,000 different pieces. Yeah. They would not have enough. They wouldn't have any pieces to put in a body bag.
So what are you thinking at that moment?
So after I cleaned my soiled pants, it was, literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop. Everybody's trying to kill you. Everybody's trying to kill you. For me, my mind was, I was set. I was going to die. So you know what? I said, please, dear God, please, God, please, just let me live long enough to see one more sunset. Just one more sunset. And if a bomb lands on me, if somebody shoots me, if I die, alhamdulillah, thank you, Allah. You gave me that beautiful gift of just seeing that sunset in the Middle East. And I would cry. I would bawl my eyes out crying and begging God, please, just let me live just a little bit more time, just long enough to see that sunrise, because it's so beautiful there in the deserts of Iraq, so beautiful. I said, please, I beg God, please let me live long enough just to see that sunrise. And if you kill me right then and there, if I die, if I get blown into 1,000 pieces, at least I can die in peace, because God gave me that last gift, that last wish. Mm-hmm. And so there was one moment where I was in the south of Iraq, and I was walking to my post, and it was just after Fajr, and the sun was just about to come up to rise above the horizon, and the sky had this beautiful, brilliant colors of reds and blues and oranges. It was just, if you've ever seen the sunrise in the desert, it's just the most beautiful thing that you could ever possibly see. So in this moment, for whatever reason, I can't remember, I stopped and I looked down, and here we are, about 300-400 miles inland from any water, about 400 miles in. I look down and I scoop up the earth like this. And I look in my hand, and all I see are hundreds of these little beautiful sea drills and seashells, like you were standing at the beach. All of this life, like right there in my hand. And in that exact moment, I had this feeling like Isa alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, felt like they were literally there. Like I could feel their arm go onto my shoulder, telling me everything is going to be okay. Don't worry. You'll be okay. Nothing's going to happen. And in that exact moment, absolute peace and tranquility.
Was this like a dream or?
No, this was walking to my post. Instantaneously, all stress, everything, fear, gone. Just absolute peace and tranquility. And it's something that I can't even begin to describe. But at that exact moment, all my life, I had been active with the church. My father was the music director. My mother was very much involved with religious education at the time in the Methodist church. My father's in the Catholic church. So we're very, very much Christian oriented. So at that moment, I said, you know what? I have to give more. I want to be able, God, I have to thank you somehow. I have to give the rest of my life. I owe you my life, my life. I could live 1,000 times, 1,000 times over, and not one, all those 1,000 would not be able to give enough thanks just for this one life God has given me.
Is that what led you now?
So that's what led me. That's what I said, you know what? I have to do more. I got involved with the diaconate. I got involved with the church. I became a Eucharistic minister. I became an acolyte.
So you were a minister.
I became a lector. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Very much so, very much so. I started teaching religious education.
Deacon is above the minister.
Yes,
But
it is.
you're on your way to go
Yes.
increase in the ranks.
Yeah, so in fact, deacon is actually the first official level of ordination in the Catholic Church. It's the first process of ordination. So you have deacon, and then you're ordained as a deacon, and then you are ordained as a priest.
I see. So,
So
it
all
goes minister, deacon, priest.
Yes. So all priests start as a deacon, and then when they finish the seminary, then they're completed with they're ordained as a full-blown priest.
So now you're a minister, and what are you thinking?
So I'm like, here I was serving, doing God's work, but I had something inside. I had something that was really troubling. Deep down inside, I never believed that Isa was God.
Okay,
I didn't.
let's stop there, because they just did a new survey that you do have today. This is recent. 52% of Christians or more don't believe that Jesus was God. Did you read that survey?
I haven't seen that one yet. Yeah.
Evangelicals, this is recent, I just spoke about it, also don't believe that he's God.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
part of our nature, to kind of reject that God
It
is a
is.
human being.
It
and
is.
you were as a Christian minister, you were having trouble with that.
Exactly, because
What kind of feeling? What do you?
it was a deeply unsettling. I was
deeply
thinking,
unsettling.
deeply unsettling, deeply unsettling. How could I, as an ordained deacon, as becoming ordained, as a minister of God, how could I be teaching a theology that I did not believe? That's hypocritical.
So you're believing in the oneness of God, that monotheism.
Absolutely.
But you're having a problem now with the Trinity,
But
or
it's a whole factors. Saints, using saints as intercessors, praying to a saint to pray to God. No, look at the teachings of Jesus. Looking at the teachings of Isa alayhi salam. Never, ever did he say, pray to him to go to God. Never did he tell anybody. He never said, pray to me and I'll pray to God. No, he said, pray to Lord your God. Pray to him alone. Pray to no other. If you look, everything says, pray to God alone. Your Lord your God is one. It's there. Don't make idols. And I think myself, well, I look in the Holy Land. People go and they see these relics. And they kiss them, they venerate them, they pray to them, and I'm thinking to myself, you're making idols. What happened to God? Why are you not praying to God? Why are you putting so much emphasis on Jesus when you should be putting that same emphasis into God? Because yes, Jesus did miracles, but he did them with God's permission. He did them by God's grace. He wasn't. He didn't just do it by himself.
did that come off as feeling more natural now? What you're saying just makes total sense.
It did, and you know what? But it was such an untroubling feeling, and Alhamdulillah, I had this wonderful friend of mine, a sister from Indonesia, my sister Ayunda, who actually just recently got married and is expecting this December. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
But so she and her family, I was talking one day and said, I'm supposed to be going in the diaconate. And I forget how we were talking about something, and I never spoke about religion. She's Muslim, I'm Christian, so we never really talked much about the religion. But you know what? It was bothering me so much. I don't know what it was, but something inside of me felt compelled to talk about it. And I was like, you know what? Something's really bothering me. It's like, I'm supposed to be going into the diaconate. I'm supposed to be preaching all of this, but I don't believe it.
And you're telling this to?
And I'm telling this to my Muslim sister. And she was like, well, everything that you're describing is exactly
So-
what
so-
Islam teaches.
So this is a Muslim that you knew that now
Yes.
you're
Yes, so-
expressing your concerns and
Exactly. So a friend of mine who I've known for many years,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful family, Muslim from Indonesia, living
Yeah.
here in the USA. And
were you at any point trying to convert her towards Christianity?
No,
No.
no, never, never. Because it's respect.
Yeah.
It's a respect. You know, it's especially how can you convert somebody to something that you don't believe?
Ah, good point. And so now you're telling her this, and what does she say?
So she says, well, you know what, Mark? Everything you're describing is exactly what Islam teaches and what Islam believes.
Mhm.
And it was like, it was a moment where I stopped and thought for a second. I was like, you know what? I've read the Quran cover to cover. You know,
By
I
now,
knew-
you read the Quran now.
oh yeah, I
By
read
now.
the Quran even before.
So
When I
you
was in
read it
Iraq.
by now.
I read, yes.
Because I heard you wanted to get to know the people, so now you went towards the
Yes.
book that they
Yep.
follow. That's a great
Exactly.
piece of advice for everybody watching right now. I mean, if you want
Oh,
to
it
get to
is.
know what Muslims believe and
That's it.
the Muslim
Read it. Read it. Read the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
It will help you understand everything behind the people, the culture, the customs. It helps you understand such a
Have you heard of,
beautiful
it
depth.
just comes to my mind because you have a lot of intellectuals out there. Have you heard of Jordan Peterson?
Ah, the name does ring a bell.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
he recently he got sick.
Mhm.
You know, I think he's getting a little better. But
Yes. Mm-hmm.
for people like him, like Jordan Peterson or others, I mean, they're highly intelligent. But then
Yes.
sometimes people end up talking about, they get out of their lane and they start
Yes.
talking about Islam
Uh-huh.
and they haven't even read the Quran
Yes.
or a good translation of the Quran or sat with a Muslim.
Uh-huh.
So what would you tell
Exactly.
something like this to
It's-
Jordan Peterson?
You
Someone
know,
this
it's-
intellectual.
If you want to know the truth, you have to go out and search for the truth yourself. Don't rely on CNN. Don't rely on a political office that runs the country. If you want to know the truth, go out and find out. Take the Quran. The Quran is the source of Islamic knowledge. It's the source. It's the source of all of our religion. It's everything. It encompasses everything. If you want to learn, go out and read. Read the Quran. Go to a masjid. Go to a masjid. Don't be afraid. They may look at you weird, like, "Can I help you? You here for something?" But you know what? They will be the most loving, inviting people you could possibly imagine. When you tell them, yes, you know, I'm Christian, I'm Jew, I'm atheist, I'm Hindu, I'm Buddhist, it doesn't matter. When you go in there and say, you know what? I don't know much about the religion. All I know is what I see on CNN the news, and I would like to learn some information about what it is. Subhanallah, they will be like, oh, please, yes, come, please. Here, can I get you some coffee? Would you like some water? Here, let me get you some information. I have a sheikh here. I have an imam here. We'd love to. Of course. What can we do for you? Please,
Yeah.
you're always welcome anytime.
Yeah, that's
You know-
that's being academically sound because I
Yeah.
mentioned his name, Jordan Peterson, and because there's many people know him, but there's many people like that. Again, they get out of their
Yes.
lane. They start talking about Islam. They got an opinion. They formed an opinion off some fake news, right? Fake,
Exactly.
the wrong information.
Yeah.
Now you used to 22 years in the military, intelligent individual, was Christian minister, about to be a deacon, and you went against all odds. Now
Oh,
you're here
yeah.
at the Dean Show
That's
as
it.
one who submitted his will to the Creator of the heavens and earth.
That's it.
And go ahead, finish off what
That's
you were
it.
saying.
Yeah. So it's, I mean, you have to go out. You have to go. Don't be afraid. Because, you know, one thing I can say, the biggest fear for me in becoming a Muslim was my own fear. A fear that didn't exist.
Yeah.
I was fearful of the unknown. I was fearful. I was thinking, religion. People don't change religion. Nobody changes your religion. You don't change a religion. You are born a religion, you live a religion, you die by that
That's
religion.
a false pretext now.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. You know, and that's kind of like the mindset. And I see that even with my own family. It breaks my heart, like especially now that I'm Muslim, they're still Christian. It kills me because there's so much rooted there in traditionalism. This is traditionally the way it has been. This is traditionally the knowledge that I know. This is what I practice. I've done this for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. My parents, you know, for them to think after having spent an entire lifetime following a religion and then to say, you know what, I think I'm going to change my religion. It's not normal.
So you're talking
So-
to your friend, and the friend is telling you, well, everything that you believe, this is now
Yes.
in Islam. So
Yup.
what happens from there?
So from there, she was like, well, you know what? How about this? Why don't you come with my family? You can come with my father and my brother. You can go to a masjid and you can go see what a Jummah prayer is. And all of my years, I never, not once, ever stepped foot in a masjid, even in Iraq. Because we're always armed. We always have our weapons with us. And that's one thing you do not ever do.
Let's
You
stop right
never
there.
step-
Let's stop
yeah.
right there. For again, another good point. One, we just covered. I'm trying to be.
Yes. Of course.
We're going to make this really efficacious to the best of our ability. So for Jordan Peterson and others, you mentioned read the Quran, get around, go visit a masjid, and go to a Jummah, ask your
Yes.
questions. Okay, so let's mark that. But keep going. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, of course, absolutely, no problem. Yeah. So, so I was like, you know what? I had never been to one. I have no idea what one is. I don't know anything about it. I just know it's their Sunday prayer on Friday. That was it. That's all I
Sunday
know.
prayer on Friday,
That's
yeah.
it.
That's a good way to
That's
put it.
all. That's all I knew. Literally,
Yeah.
you go there. I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
I don't know how they pray. I don't know anything. I just know it's
Were
a
you
place
nervous
where people
going
go.
for the first time?
Alhamdulillah. Okay, yes, I was nervous.
Yeah, that's-
even though I was with people who were like they were my comfort blanket.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was
Can,
still
can
nervous.
you imagine? Can you imagine? I've asked this. I've asked people
Yes.
who came for the first time. They were said, they were was that shooting bullets or
Oh,
they were
sweating bullets.
sweating bullets,
Oh,
right?
sweating bullets.
So-
Oh.
but afterwards, they had just great things to say. So
Oh,
visit a
boy.
mosque, just visit
Yes.
with the Muslims instead
Yes.
of talking about Muslims and cursing Muslims and standing outside with guns in front of mosques.
Uh-huh.
Come
Yes.
inside, have
Yes.
some tea,
Yes.
coffee. Hey,
In fact, I'll explain something that highlights that so beautifully in just a minute, right?
Yeah, but finish your
So
point.
I'll finish this part first. So I said, okay, so I went with them. First time ever going in, so I go inside and I say sit with them. And subhanAllah, I will never, my life, I will never forget that Jummah prayer, that first one, because it was the most beautiful sermon I have ever heard in my entire life. And it was all about the sanctity and the preciousness and the value of life. And not just human life, the life of animals. Respecting the trees that we have on this earth that give us shade, that give us wood to build our houses. Having love and respect and care for the water that we drink. Because so few places actually have drinkable water, right? And the whole Jummah, the whole sermon that he gave was just on how beautiful and how respectful it is that we need to be for life.
The fake news that it's ironic that you have groups of people who will call media channels, which we also agree with, they have a lot of propaganda nowadays, and it's fake news, right?
Yes.
But now those same people will go ahead and believe all that garbage when it comes to Islam.
It
so
is.
now they will think that Islam and Muslims don't value human life, but you are seeing and witnessing the best sermon in your life that's
It
talking
is.
about the sanctity and value of life. As soon
It
as you
is.
walk into your mosque,
It
did they know you were coming? So if this
Nobody
is like,
knew.
this is set up and
Nobody
planned?
had a clue. It was just show up, and they're like, of course, everybody was like, oh, okay, they have a guest.
Yeah.
So I was dressed normal, nice clothes, like I would normally for,
Yeah.
like a Sunday mass. I dressed nice, not like baggy, loose or anything, but just nice. And so nobody really picked up much and listening, and it was the most beautiful thing I had. So afterwards, right? So they asked me, so what did you think about the prayer? And and when it came time for prayer, they're like, okay, don't worry about anything. Just kind of stand here next to me and just kind of try and follow along. Just kind of do what I do. Just kind of fit in, and you'll be good. Don't worry about a thing. So I said, okay. So they were talking in some language. I didn't know anything. I knew a couple words from when I was in Iraq. So I know like Assalamu alaikum. And that was about it.
Yeah. Peace be
So,
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. May peace
And the
be
language
with
that
you.
they're speaking, I mean, it's a sister to the language, the original language that Jesus spoke, because Jesus
It
did
is.
not speak English. He spoke Aramaic. So this
Yes.
is Arabic.
Yes.
Arabic. Then you have ancient Hebrew. All
Yes.
those are connected,
Yes.
Semitic languages.
Exactly. They are all of the same root language. It's just like English, French, Spanish, Italian. They're all Latin based. They're all based out of the Latin. So it just the same. You have the Hebrew, the Aramaic, the Arabic. They're all Semitic languages.
And these are the languages that many of the revelations were revealed in.
Yes,
right?
yes, exactly.
So now, okay, so what happens now? So you leave the masjid, the mosque, you get to experience also the prayer. How was the prayer when you saw the prayer? Was this the first time you were seeing
this
Muslims?
is the first time I actually ever saw a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
And when the prayer finished, I said, is that it? It was like 5 minutes. I was like, well, where's the rest of the prayer? Where's the standing up? Where's the bowing? Where's the going front and back? And, because Christians, we have all this, as Catholics, we have all these traditions and things that we do. And they're like, no, that's it. That's it. We come, we listen to the sermon, we pray a few rak'ah, and that's it.
Get back to work.
And back to work.
But now when you were seeing
wow.
people pray did it remind you at all? Because you have passages in the Bible showing how Jesus would fall on his face and pray to the Creator. And now you're seeing Muslims fall on their face and pray to God Almighty.
One of the most beautiful things that I found in it was when you go down and you put your forehead on that ground. Mm-hmm. There is just something about it that you have just an overwhelming closeness with God, an overwhelming peace that comes up, that when you're down there and your head is on the ground and you are down there in submission to God, you don't want to get back up. You just want to stay there in that position. There's something about it that you just want to stay like that.
Yeah. Now there's also a prayer that's recited 17 times a day. It's the opening of the Quran. It's kind of, if you compare it to the Lord's Prayer, I always tell Christians, the Lord's Prayer is calling you to, our Father. You can say, our Lord God, who was in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom, thy will be done. That's thy will be done is Islam.
Yes.
Islam means to submit your will to God.
Exactly.
The opening prayer, you heard that for the first time there. And now you've actually, because you've been a Muslim how long?
About 2.5 years now.
2.5 years.
Almost 3 years.
So
yeah.
I want people to hear now from you. Can you recite the Al-Fatiha?
Yes.
Listen, everybody.
So
listen to this.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. So just listening to that's like food, medicine for the soul. What did you in a nutshell, what did for the person, like, wow, they're listening to this for the first time, like, man, there's like, what did you just say? What were you saying? What is, give us the translation of.
There's something so magical, because even not knowing a word of what it's saying, it brings such a peace to you. It touches you. It brings you like, there's something very special
Arab.
about this.
We just went over your history, 22 years in deployment. But you have memorized what people. This is a living miracle to this day. The Quran. People are inspiring to memorize bits and pieces, chunks, and the whole thing in itself. And you're a living.
I tell you,
you're a living testimony that now you're memorizing the Quran and you're reciting it here.
What's incredible too. Like, one of the most incredible things, I don't even know where to begin, right? So if you think there are about 2 billion Muslims, I think about 1.8 right now, going up to almost 2 billion, right? Of those, there are hundreds of millions of Muslims who have memorized the entire Quran from beginning to end in the Arabic language. Arabic! I've seen children as little as 8 and 9 years old who've memorized the entire thing. They can recite. It's mind-boggling. Hundreds of millions of Muslims.
So now we're talking about evidence. This is evidence now.
Well, you know
because
what?
Islam is just not about faith, blind faith. You have evidence that leads a person to accept this way of life. This is one of the miracles and one of the evidences.
What is so incredible about that, right, is I think how many people, little children who have memorized, right? I think about the Bible. How many revisions of the Bible do you have? How many different editions do you have? How many different languages do you have? Most of them, none of them actually fit perfect, and they're all translations.
Are you
It's like,
struggling with this while you're a minister?
oh, well, you know what?
Also,
It's
is this what, because you struggle with the Trinity, and Jesus being God? This point that you mentioned, the authenticity.
yes,
were you
and even
struggling with this also?
even going into the seminary, they teach you that the Bible is the greatest resource of literary collection types. You have mythology, you have tales, you have history, you have science fiction, you have poetry, you have all of these. So some of it's supposed to be metaphorical, some of it's supposed to be historical, some of it's just supposed to be like an analogy, and there's a real disconnect to it, fables, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I can understand to a point. Okay, you're trying to educate people at a time in the past. Say, okay, well, in the beginning there was this one person, and then God took a rib and made this other person. But that's really not what it means. It just means that humanity started, in a very small group, and we evolved. And then as we evolved, we came in bigger numbers. It doesn't make sense. How can, they say behind every myth, there is some basis of factual history. And even I was just watching the other day, like on National Geographic, they were talking about this ancient city in Egypt, in the delta of the Nile River, and how they thought it was just a mythological place that the Greeks and Romans and everybody wrote about, but it never really existed. And then just a few years ago, they found, no, this city really did exist. It was just underneath the ocean. And nobody thought to look there.
And then I'll let you get back to your story. This beautiful thing is the concept has always been the same, that God Almighty sent messengers, and they all called people to submit their will to the Creator of heavens and earth. That concept of submission to the will of God, Islam, has always been there. So now, in that time of Jesus, he was obviously calling people not to worship anyone other than the Creator of the heavens and earth. That's Islam. You know?
That's it.
And that concept also of submitting, the one who submits to the will of God, being a Muslim, just like when God Almighty says in the Quran, Abraham was neither a Jew or Christian, but he was one who sincerely, purely submitted to the will of God as a monotheist.
Exactly.
So now, tell me, when you go back, and let's tell me, I had you recite this, the opening chapter of the Fatiha, and pretty much for the viewers, you're pretty much praising the Creator of the heavens and the earth.
That's
the owner of the day of judgment. You alone we worship, you alone we seek for help. Guide us on the straight path.
Yes.
And now you hear that. How much later after that where did your story go from there, that you finally ended up taking your Shahada?
Well, that's a really great part, and I love talking about this one, right? So I was like, wow, you know what? It's so amazing. So I really want to learn more about the religion. I really like that. I want to learn more. So I said, okay, if you're really serious, and you want to learn more, go find your local masjid, go to your local masjid, and ask to speak to the imam there. And just tell them, you're a Catholic, you went to a Jummah with your friend, and you liked it, you were interested, and you just want to learn more. You just want to learn more, and that's it. So I said, okay, you know what? I really want to do that. So that's exactly what I went on the internet. I found my local masjid, and so I said, okay, it was like the next week on the Friday for Jummah. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to go there, and I'm going to, I really want to learn. So what happened is I went to a local masjid, and it was completely empty. Yeah. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where is everybody? I'm looking at my clock, and I check. I'm like, yeah, well, it's supposed to be here. So it's like, and I go inside, and there's somebody in the back. And can I help you? Can I help you? What do you hear? What do you want? I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, yeah, I'm here for Jummah. And he's like, nah, you missed it. Sorry, it's over. I was like, oh, okay. So I just turned around and went home. But I was really depressed. I was really upset. Like I really wanted to go learn. So I did one thing that I never do before. I've never done before. I went on the internet and I typed out a message to him and say, hi, I'm so-and-so. I went to the masjid today, but there was nobody there. And, I really want to learn. I'm curious. I'd like to learn a lot more about the religion. And subhanAllah, that evening, about 15 minutes before evening Isha prayer, which is, the last prayer of the night. So what happened is I get this phone call. It's hi, I'm Brother Tariq. I received your message on the internet. I heard you were interested and you went to the masjid, but you said there was nobody there. I said, yeah, I went there was nobody there. He's like, oh, okay. Well, did you, I was there. I was, there were a whole bunch of people. I said, no, it was empty. He said, oh, well, where did you go? And so I told him where he went. He said, oh, no. That's a completely wrong place. That's a whole totally different religion. You went to the wrong one.
Wow.
So I said, oh, okay. Thanks be to God. Alhamdulillah. Allah saved me again from making, another mistake. So I said, okay. So he gave me the correct address. So I was like, all right. So I went around. He's like, well, we're about to start in about 10, 15 minutes. Why don't you come over? You can join us right there. I'd love to meet you in person. We can definitely talk some more. I said, okay, that sounds great. You know what? I'm going to do it because I really wanted to learn. So I go to their masjid. And, I'm not sure how it is here in Chicago, but typically in the, back east, it's when, prayer is supposed to be like, 9 o'clock, usually about 9:05, 9:10, everybody actually starts showing up. But, so I go there and there's like one other person inside and somebody, so I go inside and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to disturb this guy. So I'm kind of like looking around like, all right, what am I here for? And this other guy, he's really tall, thin, and he had this big beard to him. And me, I'm like thinking, oh my God, this guy is going to kill me. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm like, where's the exit? If I kick this guy just this way, I can bolt out of there. He won't be able to catch me, and I can haul, what's out of this place, right? And so he goes, so I'm terrified. I'm like, hi, I'm here for evening prayer. I'm terrified. So he says, okay. He goes, are you here for Shahada? And so I spoke to the guy on the phone before, but I couldn't remember his name. I couldn't remember it was Brother Tariq. I just know it was some person. So I go, yeah, I'm here for Shahada. He goes, MashaAllah! And he gives me this great old big hug and everything. I'm like, oh, thank God this guy's not going to kill me. And he's like, wow, that's so awesome. I'm so happy for you. You're here for Shahada? I'm like, yeah, I'm here for Shahada. And, he's like, everybody, this guy's here for Shahada. And I'm thinking, yeah, I'm here for Shahada. I'm like, wow, man. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, Shahada, man. Everybody loves Shahada. Shahada's like a rock star. Like, man, what a popular guy. I love Shahada. Like, Shahada, man. It's like, I got to find this guy on the internet or something like that,
So you really didn't know what they were saying.
So I had no idea what Shahada was. I had no idea. So a few minutes later, Brother Tariq comes in. He says, hi, I'm Brother Tariq. I believe we spoke on the phone earlier. I'm so glad to see that you came here. And, this is really great and everything. And, can I ask you, by the way, it's, I happen to hear that somebody said that you were interested in Shahada, that you want to, Shahada. And he's like, and he kept talking.
But you want to accept Islam, pretty much.
Well, yeah. And so he kept talking, and he was talking so much that I didn't have a chance to even answer. And he's like, and so it's like, Shahada, right? That's your testimony of faith. You testify that you want to become a Muslim. You testify that there's only one God worthy of worship, and that's God alone, and that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last and final prophet and messenger of God. And he's like, are you sure you really want to, become a Muslim? Testify that you want to become Muslim? I'll say, yes, I want to do my Shahada and become a Muslim. And then I stopped. I said, oh my God, what did I just say? I was like, start reaching to take those words back out from my mouth. SubhanAllah, God put those words in my mouth and I had no control to take God just said, yes, you're doing your Shahada. It came out. I have no idea how it happened, because I had no intention on becoming, I just wanted to learn about the religion. But subhanAllah, he asked me if I want to become Muslim, and I said, yes, I want to take my Shahada, become a Muslim. just like that. And so we prayed evening Isha prayer, and following Isha, we came up in front of the community there, and I took my shahada right there in front of the East Brunswick Islamic Center, the entire community. And what an amazing feeling. What an amazing feeling. And the looks on everybody's faces, it's just filled with so much happiness, like, just love, like real, sincere, true love from the heart. It's not like when you go to like another church and people, welcome, welcome to the community. No, it's like, it is a genuine, sincere love from the heart. Like, I love you. Like, you are my family. You are now my family. Like, such a genuine love.
Any regrets?
Oh, my regrets? I never have regret. Never, never. Because regret means I don't trust the will of Allah.
Yeah.
I never have a single regret. There are things I would do different if I had a chance to do them again, but never for one moment do I ever have a regret. It has been the most beautiful blessing of my life. And alhamdulillah, from that moment now, I go out, I give dawah, I educate people throughout the entire United States. I travel the world educating people about the religion of Islam. It's just the most amazing thing on the earth. It's the most amazing thing that anybody can do.
You didn't just stop there. I mean, you continue to get educated, and this drive, I can see this passion in you to share this message out there, and that's that message of Moses, Abraham, Jesus, the last and final message of Muhammad, of inviting people to the purpose of life, to have peace with the Creator of heaven and earth, and that's by worshiping Him on His terms, not His desire. That's Islam, submission to the will of God. Tell us, for those people who are out there, and they just been bombarded with the fake news.
That is.
And they're patriots to their country. And they've seen another patriot to his country who served 22 years, not only in the Marines, Air Force, Army, and now you accepted. You were seeking purpose. You were a minister, about to be a deacon. Now you're here on the Dean Show.
Yes.
What advice do you have for them to clear up this fog, these misconceptions?
Well,
what advice do you have?
You know what? There's so many misconceptions that, I wouldn't even know where to begin. But one of the things that I would say, especially for the Muslim community, is there's a lot of stereotype about the U.S. military and thinking that the U.S. military in the United States is anti-Muslim. It has an anti-Muslim agenda. And I have to tell you, that couldn't be any farther from the truth, because I spent the last 2.5 years in the U.S. Army as a Muslim, and I prayed every single Jummah. I prayed every Salah. The entire office where I was working, all in military uniform, everybody would stop working. When it was time for me to pray my Salah, everybody would stop and remain silent so I could pray completely undisturbed without any distractions. And subhanAllah, I was allowed to grow my beard in the military. Most Muslim militaries, it's prohibited. You can't have a beard in a Muslim military. But the United States, you have every right to wear your beard. I could wear my imama in my military uniform. I had absolute protection. There is no organization that has more respect for Muslims and more protection for Muslims than the U.S. military. There is none. Not even an Islamic country gives those rights and protections to its Muslims the way the USA military does. So for those who think that it's anti-military, that is absolutely not true. Absolutely. And if anybody in the U.S. military tries to even make a problem or question it, they immediately get reprimanded severely for causing any issue. So the stigma that people have about the military is completely false. And I would say, don't listen to the news. Don't get your information about Islam from CNN, from Fox, from the White House. Go and get it from the people. And whatever you do, don't look at other countries as examples of how Islam is. Because what you see in the government is not the religion of Islam. Islam is a religion that respects every human life. If one single person, the killing of one person, as is if you killed every human being on earth. There are 8.5 billion people on earth. one person, one life, is equal to 8.5 billion people. That's the respect that Islam has. So when you see things, people being chopped up and dissolved in acid and whatnot, this is not the religion of Islam. When you see people getting beaten and all these atrocities, that is not the religion of Islam.
That's the same thing. You turn on the local TV news and you see, children's heads in the freezer. That's here in our lovely country. You have also, that's not America. That's not the Constitution. That's the same example. So you have Christians who are doing crimes. That doesn't represent Christianity. Same way you have a fringe element.
Yes.
That it's unfortunate, but the media tries to prop up as if they're exemplary Muslims, but that's not the case.
Of course. In fact, if you look, even just this past couple weeks, there is this USA paramilitary terrorist group that had plans to invade, I think it was the Wisconsin, Michigan, the governor's here, right here at home. This Christian militia group wanting to execute all of these people. And you see in the news, this homegrown American terrorism. They don't say Christian terrorists. They don't say Catholic terrorists. They don't say Baptist terrorists. No, homegrown American terrorists. So don't think Muslim terrorists. Don't put the religion, don't get the religion mixed up with the mistakes of the people.
Thank you so much. It was really great having you on the Deen Show.
Thank you very much.
Really nice hearing your story. May God Almighty bless you. Jazakallah khair.
Shukran. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakallah.
And if you like this episode of the Deen Show, like this video, share this video far and wide, and support us on our Patreon page so we can continue this work. Thank you for tuning in. Peace be with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Subscribe right now.